Okay, this is another great map find. I believe this is Latin. If I did a translation, I believe it says a universal description of the world. This map was created by an Italian named Giovanni Battista Mazza, possibly in 1643, although his life was from 1530 to 1620, so it had to have been done before he died, possibly just published in 1643, but done before 1620. There are many interesting pictures in this. First of all, it is interesting that California is attached to America for a 1643 map. Usually that's not found. So whether or not that's what the case was, we don't know. Many of the maps show that it was an island. There are many of the city names in there. He's got all kind of pictures. So let's point some of these things out. First of all, in what possibly is either Canada or the southwest of America, there's a whole cannibal scene going on. And that fits with what has been found in the American Southwest. There was an extensive warfare and cannibalism. That was proven out by Dr. Christy Turner. And he wrote a book called Man Corn, where he went around to over 74 sites and he found evidence of cannibalism in the coprolites that he examined. And the coprolites are fossilized waste product of humans, and he found human DNA in it to prove out that they were eating people. So here's a scene of cannibals that is probably in the Southwest. In a previous video I showed you there was a cannibal scene that could have been in Canada or it could have been in Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Illinois. So we're going to go over and we're going to look at some of these houses. They're pretty simple. They pretty thatch. So he's got quite a bit of that. Looks like they're growing some corn over here in the Midwest. He's showing them over here gathering regular food, not being a cannibal. And there's a scene over here. I am thinking that this is the northeast of America, possibly, where they're doing some sort of a ritual with this deer, and perhaps these are Spanish. It looks like some Spanish that are watching them. The ships coming in. So we have again regular people and cannibals, which is what the ancient stories cite. Again, here's a picture of Poseidon. As I said, they always have a mythological character on these maps. Here again are some Patagonians. So this is their area. And I want to point out that this is the tip of South America, but I don't know if this land here is supposed to be Antarctica or just they drew that so they could put some different kind of information on there. But look at these pictures. There's a village here, and it will take me some time to try and translate what this is saying. They're around the fire. They're cooking some, I guess, a variation of alligators. And serpents, that's their food. And look at the hats and these people. Now, I can't tell who they're supposed to be. Here they're going after a giant alligator. The same hats. Different people. And here they're fighting the Spanish. Now, I'm not sure why they have this as Africa, but this is Circolo Antarctico. So, is this Antarctica with people in the year maybe the 1600s? We don't know, somewhere between 1530 and 1620. We have seen previous maps in a previous video I did where they had cities and ports on Antarctica, and it looked a lot closer like it is here to South America, but they have Circolo Antarctica, and these to me look like giant people, and they had villages. So I'm going to have to try and convert what this is saying in Latin. You know, here's something about Europe, but the fact that this is Circolo Antarctica and it's a landmass is making me wonder if this was Antarctica. And it appears to be so. And on top of it, there's a queen. So we're going to look at all these pictures. And look at that. This is similar to something that has been seen, I believe, of Huitzilopochtli in Mexico. I've seen a drawing of what the Spanish saw of one of their gods in the temple. But we need to figure out what is going on here, because look at these women, how tall they are, and some of the men compared to the smaller ones. These smaller men and women. So, was there still a group of giants on the edge of Antarctica? And this was a queen? And they had some of the smaller humans as their servants? We don't know. And then there's this. Some sort of ceremony. And then there's this. And it's talking about Florida. And then they have some pictures of outside of this. Some of the cities, like Mexico. Look at that. I don't know what Jalisco is. Or any of the rest of these. Cusco, that's South America. But some of these other ones, look at them. I mean, where is this? Nicaragua. But some of these cities look amazing. But this scene, I need to figure out what is going on here. Because there's taller people, almost twice the size of these people. Now, the other thing that I want to show is something was going on in Tartaria at this time. Because they were showing people being hung. And it's something to do with Tartary. couple people being hung, and these people are just sitting with some guy in this tree. And 1597. And then there's some other people that look like queens and kings. So this is from 1597, apparently. And, one of those interesting maps that didn't have California as an island, but they have cannibals here. They have giants that they were showing. They still have the Patagonia giants. And this appears to be Antarctica with all kinds of people that are kind of primitively living with some sort of mountains. And this is interesting too. Like somebody was sick. But here's another cannibalism scene. And the women have the hair down and the men have it back in a ponytail. This appears to be some man that they're cooking over a fire or something. Maybe. What if this is some steam to help him from being sick? Because there's some of that too. We don't know. It could be that it's some sort of way to heal. We don't know. It isn't as clear as the other cannibal scene because it's almost like they were sick. Now here's another one on a stretcher. And this guy has to be carried. So something got them sick. And here's the Spanish. So they must have been getting really sick in 1597, and they were trying to heal themselves with the steam. But we don't know if that is something that was going on in Antarctica because of this. So this needs to have more interpretation of what is on this map and what was going on in Tartaria at the time that people were being hung. And again, here's some of the cities with all the castles that I'm not thoroughly familiar with, other than here's Morocco, Algiers, and probably Alexandria. And this woman sitting on a crocodile. But in this map for Tartary, they have a lot of tents and elephants and camels. And even this little car that may be running on wind. We don't know. In this map, it also has China over here. It hasn't been named Asia yet. Look at that, a reindeer and a ship of these people. So this needs to be interpreted to see what is being said, because there's a lot of history up here, and this area is quite interesting if it is Antarctica, because they're showing people and they're showing that they were living there and they were getting sick from the Spanish, I assume, bringing something over, but we don't know. And like I said, and there was something going on in Tartaria where people were getting hung. I want to point out that a lot of people try and say Tartaria was ancient China. It wasn't. Sima Qian was the grand historian for the ancient Chinese, and he wrote the history records of the Grand Historian. And I've read some of this, and it was pretty rough back then. This guy insulted the emperor, and he was given a choice to live but be castrated or be killed. And he chose to live and be castrated so he could write the records of ancient China. And he wrote about all the things going on, and there were lots of wars. There were, hundreds of thousands of people that were the enemies of the Chinese that were being killed and decapitated. So it is a very good history if you want to look at what was going on in Tartary from the Chinese point of view. Now, I just kind of came across this book, The History of the Conquest of China by the Tartars. I haven't read it. I'm trying to get a good copy of it. But you'll see that the Tartars entered into China, so they were not Chinese. Okay, so something was going on with their emperors, and they were fighting the Chinese. This is Tartars put out to sea and fight the corsairs of China. So these two groups of people were fighting, and you'll find out also that Moscovia, which is Russia, was fighting the Tartars as well. So this needs to be looked at. So we have a lot of things going on in 1597. I'm not sure I believe that California wasn't an island back then. Some of the other maps show it as an island, but what do I know? It could be moving multiple times. We have evidence of the cannibals and other people that are just living. We have some really strange stuff going on down here, that there may have been people living in Antarctica that got sick when the Spanish came, and they were trying to cure themselves, and they had some queen. There is a queen here. And you see the size difference of the people compared to these people. So these could have been the remnants of the Atlanteans or even Patagonians. We don't know. This has to be translated. And also, like I said, the Tartaria, people were being hung. We don't know what was going on here. Lots of good information that we are not taught in the schools. And as I've shown you on previous maps, America and all of the rest of the Americas, South America and Mexico, were labeled as Atlantis. This land has changed quite a bit. And I'll show you this. Tartary was on this map, and it was an empire. But they were fighting the Chinese, and they were fighting the Russians at some point. So that history has been erased. My guess is that some of this area would be like modern day Ukraine and some of the other countries in that area, part of Russia. China wasn't as big as it is now, but they have always been at war with the neighbors on and off, trying to expand their empire as well. And they were also attacked, as we can see in this, that the Tartars conquered them. And this book was written in 1676. So I'm going to be looking into this book as well. Again, another good find. Thank you.